Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are going to talk about the Secret Invasion storyline from the comics, as Avengers 5 might be all about Secret Invasion. The post-credit scenes of Spider-Man Far From Home further hints towards this possibility, where we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill turning into Skrulls, and the real Nick Fury being on a Skrull spaceship preparing for a war. This post-credit scene explains why Nick Fury and Maria Hill were acting so strangely throughout the movie, and why they didn't seek the help of other Avengers like Doctor Strange and Professor Hulk. Talos, the Skrull that was impersonating Nick Fury, was doing what he was told by Nick Fury was in the spaceship. Talos is the same Skrull whom we had earlier seen reunite with his family in the Captain Marvel movie. In Spider-Man Far From Home, Talos was asked by Nick Fury to hand over Tony Stark's tech, Edith, to Peter Parker. But that said, why are Skrulls back on Earth, and what is going on with Nick Fury and all those Skrulls in that spaceship? Secret Invasion story seems to be the likely answer to all these questions. So in this video, we are going to discuss the Secret Invasion storyline from the comics and how it might play out in the MCU. So without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, your turn. Prove you're not a Skrull.
The Secret Invasion storyline is all about Skrulls strategically infiltrating the world's governments and organizations, including the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. The Skrull Empire had planted many of their sleeper agents, and they even had few Super Skrulls that could mimic the power of the various members of Team Avengers. For many years, the Skrulls worked on their spy and sleeper agent network, and when the Earth was ripe for takeover, after the events of Civil War and House of M, they launched their full-blown attack on Earth. The interesting thing about this alien invasion was that Avengers found themselves in a very difficult position, as they couldn't trust their teammates, and the ones whom they trusted turned out to be the Skrulls. After the events of Civil War, the Avengers were divided, and Tony and Captain America were no longer on speaking terms, which further helped the Skrulls, as the team was confused whom to trust and whom to fight. The people who were posing as Skrulls were nearly undetectable, as Doctor Strange's magic, Spider-Man's spider sense, and even Tony Stark's tech was unable to detect whether a person was a Skrull or not. The Secret Invasion started after the Kree-Skrull War, when Tony Stark and Doctor Strange went to a Skrull's homeworld along with the other members of the Team Illuminati to warn the Skrulls to stay out of the Earth. But the Skrulls always believed that Earth was rightfully theirs, so they captured the Illuminatis and experimented on them. However, later they managed to escape, but this experiment allowed the Skrulls to plan their secret invasion and take over Earth that went unnoticed by the Avengers. The Skrulls managed to make copies of many superheroes, including Black Bolt, God of Thunder Thor, and Spider-Man. But as the full-blown war broke out between the Avengers and the Skrulls were eventually defeated, and the world was back to being normal, as the Skrulls who were living on Earth were finally identified thanks to the Skrulls' impeccable record-keeping. After the invasion, the blame game started. After all, who was responsible for the invasion? Many of the superheroes blamed Tony Stark. The President of the United States dissolved the S.H.I.E.L.D., and the resources of the S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Team Avengers was transferred to Norman Osborn. And the Secret Invasion storyline directly led to the Dark Reign storyline, where the supervillains team up to form their own version of the Illuminatis. The Illuminatis was a 7-member secret superhero team that included Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, and Professor X. Black Panther was offered a membership, but he declined, as he believed that working behind the other superheroes' backs was a bad idea, and the Illuminatis would never be able to agree on how to solve the world problems because of the personality classes. The other member of Team Avengers, like Hulk, Captain America, were deeply hurt when they found out that Tony and Doctor Strange had been running a secret group that made decisions which affected the fate of the planet Earth without consulting them. So they concluded that Illuminatis had breached their trust. In the MCU, the introduction of Illuminatis might be a long way off, but it seems like that we are moving towards Secret Invasion, as the script for the Captain Marvel movie was finalized after Avengers Endgame went into production. So Marvel must have planned things and decided to introduce the Skrulls in the MCU. And in the Captain Marvel movie, we see that the Skrulls were living on Earth with Mar-Vell, way before Carol Danvers got her powers from the Lightspeed engine that transformed her into one of the most powerful superheroes. Even though the Skrulls were eventually shown as the good guys who were the victims of the Kree tyranny, it should not be considered that the Skrulls don't have sinister plans. Maybe the Kree-Skrull War taught them a lesson and they realized that they weren't prepared enough. So what do? They plant their agents in the influential positions on Earth, considering this is the planet that defeated Thanos. And if you can defeat a guy who had erased half of the universe creatures with a snap, then you're bound to get some serious attention. Therefore, I think that after the events of Endgame, the Skrulls might have realized, just like Thor, that no place is safer for their people than Earth. Which might be the reason why they are back on Earth in Spider-Man Far From Home, and Nick Fury is either a Skrull or he's being manipulated by the Skrulls. But if that isn't the case, then he might be helping the Skrulls prepare for a bigger threat. But anyways, if Marvel is really heading towards Secret Invasion, then next year we will know for sure, as Black Widow movie will definitely drop some more hints. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more upcoming content.